I still remember the day they told me I was wasting my life. It was an afternoon that cut like a blade. My family gathered around, their faces tight with contempt, voices sharp with dismissal. My obsession, my pointless passion for restoring old family quilts was met with mockery and disbelief. My father scoffed. "You're never going to make a living sewing old rags." And my mother rolled her eyes, sneering. "What's the point of wasting your life on fabric? It's not like you're going anywhere." They called me a dreamer, an embarrassment, a fool. Told me I was ruining the family's reputation by clinging to something so insignificant. That day, I felt the sting of betrayal like nothing I'd ever known. But inside, I knew I wasn't going to let their scorn define me. I remember gripping that old iron heirloom quilt, the one inherited from my great-great-grandmother, before they could tear it away, sealing my resolve. I left the house that evening with my heart pounding, clutching my fragile dreams close. Thanks for chatting with me today. I'll definitely chat more next time. Remember, if you've got a question, you can contact me. See you next time. Bye for now. I didn't have much. The odds were stacked against me. And I knew I'd be an outsider in my own family. But I had one thing, an unshakable belief that these fabrics, these stories woven into threads, held meaning worth fighting for. I dedicated myself entirely to restoring those quilts, piece by fragile piece. Days turned into months as I studied stitching techniques, learned the history behind each pattern, and painstakingly pieced torn fabrics back together. It was slow, lonely work. Sometimes I doubted myself. Sometimes I questioned whether all this effort was worth it. But I couldn't stop. Every torn fiber I mended was a small act of defiance against their words. I poured every ounce of my soul into this craft, driven by a deep conviction that heritage, our stories, our history, deserved to be preserved, not cast aside as useless relics. Years passed. My work started to attract attention beyond my tiny studio. I began restoring quilts from forgotten barns, abandoned homesteads, and dusty attics. Each piece became a story of ancestors who fought and loved and struggled. Slowly, I gained recognition, not just as a restorer, but as a keeper of history. Then, I took a leap, an audacious one. I opened an exhibition showcasing my restored quilts, combined with visual art installations illustrating their stories. Critics called it a revival of cultural memory, and my work was featured in galleries, magazines. I was invited to speak at conferences, to teach workshops. My name spread, and suddenly I wasn't just some eccentric quilter. I was transforming the way people understood heritage, community, and resilience. But the real turning point came when I decided to do something unconventional. I used the threads and textiles from my quilts to create a living landscape, an ecosystem of sorts, inspired by the organic patterns and histories embedded in each fabric. I turned barren lands into vibrant gardens, planting native species and restoring ecological balance. My work wasn't just about fabric anymore. It was about healing wounds, both environmental and emotional. I saw in those quilts the potential for renewal, for growth, for rebirth. And that's when I returned home, years after they dismissed me. I was different now. Confident, successful, a testament to perseverance. I knew, though, that nothing would expunge the memory of that day when I was cast out. I wanted them to see what I'd become, to face the truth of my journey. I returned not just as a successful artist, but as a symbol of resilience, proof that even the most dismissed dreams could flourish. The house was the same. The faded paint, the cracked porch, the familiar scent of old wood. I stepped inside, carrying a bundle of restored quilts, their intricate stitches shining in the afternoon light. My family was gathered in the living room, tense and silent, their eyes flickering with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. I knew what they were thinking. She's still obsessing over fabric, or she's wasting her life. Then I unfolded the largest quilt, the one that had almost been lost to time. It was a tapestry of stories, colorful patches stitched together like the fabric of our family itself. I held it high, and as I did, the room fell silent, staring at the masterpiece I'd restored, the threads woven with history, resilience, and hope. I could see their faces flicker with recognition, with awe, and with something they hadn't shown in a long time. Respect. "Do you remember this?" I asked softly. "This quilt tells the stories of our ancestors, of hardship, of love, of strength. I've spent years restoring not just fabric, but the legacy you so easily dismissed. I've brought back what you thought was pointless. I've proved that even what you call rags can be reborn into something beautiful and meaningful." A heavy silence hung in the air. Then my father, a man hardened by years of doubt and harsh words, looked at the quilt with a trembling hand. "We never saw it that way," he admitted quietly. "We only saw a girl wasting her time on something trivial." My mother's eyes glistened, a tear slipping down her cheek. "We were blind," she whispered. "You've done something extraordinary, not just with these quilts, but with your life. We're sorry for dismissing you." In that moment, I felt every bitter word melt away, replaced by a profound sense of catharsis. I had carried my pain, my rejection, and turned it into something that healed. Not just fabric, but fractured bonds. That day, I didn't just restore old textiles. I restored our family's faith in the power of perseverance, in the worth of passionate pursuits, and in the beauty of the stories we'd often forget. Looking back, I realized that my ridiculous obsession was never about the quilts. It was about reclaiming my voice, about proving that dreams, no matter how dismissed, can bloom into something monumental. My success wasn't just in the ecosystems I cultivated or the recognition I earned. It was in the quiet, undeniable victory of standing before my family and showing them that resilience and belief can forge new paths, even from the remnants of what others deem worthless. And in that, I found my true triumph. That even when the world dismisses you, when they say you're an embarrassment, you can still rise, restore, and transform. Because sometimes the greatest legacies are woven in the quiet stitches of perseverance, hidden in the fabric of our stories, and waiting patiently for the moment when we finally dare to unveil them.